Hello.
Hi, Sima.
Hi, Harita. Good evening.
Good evening.
I think we can start the recording.
Yeah, okay.
You're able to see my screen.
Yeah.
These are the topics which I discussed during our last class. So, do you have
Yeah.
doubt on any of the topic?
No, I'm here.
Clear. Okay. So, in the last class, like we have mainly focused on the list, and under that, like we have three implementations like array list and vector and linked list, right? So, these are especially for storing and reading, picking elements and for manipulation and everything, right? So individually we can get a
We added, deleted, and retrieved elements from that.
yes, the basic operation you performed, but the two like individually we were trying, right? So when you say like getting an element, so we requested for a particular element, we could see that particular element, right? So we want to view all the elements in a collection.
Okay.
So either from array list or a vector or a linked list, then we need to go for a cursor. Cursor is a concept which is having three implementations, right? Which can be used for the collections, especially to traverse through all the elements which are there in your collection. Here, individual three more things are there, like which one to be used. It's once again it depends on the requirement. Enumeration we usually use for vector because vector is the legacy one. It was the older one, right? Yesterday we discussed, right?
Yes.
So this is the correspondent to that is like enumeration is the older one. So mostly we go for the enumeration. If you want to view all the elements which are there in the vector, we use the enumeration to read the elements.
Okay.
For the iterator and list iterator, we can use for any other. We can use it for anything. The main difference between these two are so the first like enumeration. If you look at it, so primarily it has only two methods. Like enumeration has more elements and dot next element. Okay,
Now, enumeration it has two methods. What is that?
only two methods has more elements and next element.
Has more and next element.
Has more elements and next element. These are the two methods which can play a important role. So as and when you got a enumeration from your vector, when I say enumeration, so on the vector we have a method which is going to give you all the values, all the collection objects which are there in the vector, okay, which is in the form of enumeration object. Once you got that object, it's your turn to read all the elements, and it's kind of like a looping through each individual element. So we need to use those two methods, like has more elements and the next element. So has more elements is the primary condition for your while loop. So which indicates that if there are any elements to read. If so, then it enter inside a loop, and there like it is going to invoke a next method to get the next element. Like that, this loop continues till you reach that end of that collection from the enumeration object. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'll show you an example how we can.
Yeah.
copy code from the vector. This part. Generally, if you print like this, the vector, what it does, it's going to print all the values from that vector, right? It is going to print everything in the form of like the square brackets, all the values. But I do not want all the values at once. I want one by one, one by one. So that means I'm expecting a loop, right? This is, you do not have complete control on the individual, right? When you say printing array, it's printing all. But I want this one and this one individually one by one. So that's where like one of the implementation of the enumeration. So how you use enumeration? Enumeration equal to, so from where like you have to get from the vector object. What is vector object? Here EL is the vector object. Right? Elements. This is going to give you all the elements. So this is also in the change order title. Once you got the enumeration object, so that means this object is ready for use. So what are those two methods has to be applied to show you that. While e dot has more elements, means if there are any elements to read, then next method is like the next element, right? That element dot. That's all. We are done with reading all the elements now. Now the difference between this one and this one is now you have a control on the individual element. Suppose if you want to do something with that individual element, you can do whatever you want inside, right? Here you do not have control of that. Got it? Clear?
Understand.
Next, iterator. Iterator is also, as I told you, the enumeration is especially for the vector. So iterator and so list iterator is for like any collection within your collection framework. So right now, if you focus on this iterator, this is also similar to your enumeration kind of thing, behavior perspective. It is having two methods to read in the same way. Okay. Similar to that, like the method names are changing, but the intention of the method purpose is like to check the number of elements and the reading continuity of the elements individually. So let's say if you want to read elements from the array list, so the same way you can get all the elements from the array list. Only the difference is like, this time we'll be using iterator to read the element because these are from the latest version, and the enumeration is the older version which is corresponding to the older version of the vector. Okay.
Okay.
I'll show you the iterator interface. To print array list, so this is prints in the complete list. So here also do not have a complete control. So you want individual elements. So you have to get the iterator object from the array list object. Right here. Import it. Okay. Once you got the iterator object, just those two methods is going to keep execute to repeat the loop while itr dot has next. So there we have has more elements, right? Now this is just as next, just a method names in. The reason is this is an older version. In the older version, they used to have the lengthy names, has more elements. It's almost like kind of a big word. Same thing was replaced for this one is with has next.
So just I want to know what's the name of the title you are using?
Oh, your voice is low. Right.
Oh, what's the main use of iterator? I mean, we are using what's the need of that?
What is the main use of iterator and
Why we are using that? I didn't get the point. That's why I'm asking it again.
okay. So
Again that.
okay, for all these three, we comes under a cursor section concept to read the elements from any collection.
Okay.
To read.
Okay. So enumeration only.
No, so enumeration, so iterator listed these three are going to help us in reading any collections. So we have a lot of things left. So still we are going to discuss a lot of things. To read anything, to read the data which is there in any collection, you can use cursors. Okay. Out
Okay.
of that, this enumeration is especially for the vector because it's an older version of it, especially for the legacy kind of a collections. Okay.
Mm.
So like, for the vector, mostly we go for the enumeration, and it has, for reading it, like we have two methods: has more elements and the next element. Right. So in the same way, so this is for especially for the legacies like vector only, and this like iterator, list iterator, you can use it for any kind of a non-legacy. That means you can use it for linked list, you can use it for array list, and you can use it for down the line we are going to learn. Okay, that means these two you can use it for anything.
Okay.
Okay, after that I'm just using iterator for array list. So what this purpose is like, at the end, purpose of these cursors are to read the elements which are there in your collections, right? So what is the purpose of the enumeration? It's helping us to read the elements. The same way iterator is also is going to help us in reading the elements from the corresponding object.
Okay.
Now you got it?
Got it.
Now what I did, so I iterator demo. So method names are changed, right? In enumeration, it has more elements. So method names are lengthy because it was the older versions. In the down the line versions, they didn't use that much lengthy names. So they made it a shorter. Okay. This was has more elements in the enumeration because it was the older version of the implementation. Then iterator was the later versions of the cursor. So it is has next. In the same way, the next one iterator dot next. So in the older versions, it has dot next element, right? You can see the difference. Right? I'm able to read all the elements. So advantage here is when I read the individual element, I'm having a control. Suppose I want to do something with, I'll just store it in a variable. I can process whatever I want. But with this one, I cannot do anything, right?
Yeah.
So clear. So now this with this iterator, it has only two methods. We are able to check the number of elements and we are able to read the element from it, right? If you observe, this has a certain limitation. That means like it cannot go back to the items which are there in the backward direction. Means if you go from, if you read from item top to bottom, so if you want to go back from bottom to top, it doesn't have any facility to do that. So in that case, you need to go for a list iterator. Got it? List iterator is especially like having additional capabilities. Like it is having two more methods. Whatever the two methods which you used to see in the iterator, which is for going forward, right?
Yeah.
So now this has two more additional methods on top of it to go in the backward direction. Okay, so which is going to fulfill from either you can go from top to bottom or bottom to top and whatever the direction. But with the iterator, you cannot do that. Okay, I'll be using the list iterator.
To print the array list, to print the elements in the array, do we need any loop or, now we are using the while loop. If we don't use any loop, can we print the elements in the array directly?
Yes, we can print. If you look at array list demo, yesterday we have printed directly, right?
I think directly you gave the object.
Which are,
Object, yeah. So yeah. It gives correct.
We can do that. That is for individual.
Using
Now
any other.
we would like to read all the elements, right?
Oh, yeah.
When I say all, then you have to go for these things. Connection illustrator demo.
Yeah, I understood this.
Understood, right? Next, once you got the list iterator object, now what I told, this has additional 2 more methods. Now what I'm going to do, first I'm going to do the forward direction, so that I will go to end, and from bottom will come back to top. In the same way as next. Next, right? This is going to print elements in the forward direction, right? Displaying in the forward direction, it has printed whatever it is moving from. Now same thing I'm going to write. Now you are already at the end, right? When you are done with this, that means you are at the end. So now I would like to come back. So here already you are at the end. So when you say has next, it is not going to return anything because you're already, there is no next element after that. So now you need to come back. So you need to check has previous. Are there any previous elements to me?
Okay.
So obviously this is also previous method. That's all. This provision is not available in Iterator. Right? 1 to 100 and 200, 100. So whatever is the order, you go from this direction and then it will come back from this direction. Got it? Yeah, right? So in the array list and vector and linked list, if you observe anything, array list and comment, just commenting. So I just took an array list an example. So we could see the values are right. Suppose if you add a duplicate elements, 200. If I add a duplicate elements, what happens? Will there be any issue?
So if you add duplicate elements,
Will there be any issue? I'm asking.
I think there will not be any issue.
There will not be any issue because it's an array list, it will accept whatever you do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So all three, like array list, vector, and linked list, if there are any duplicates, it doesn't give us any issue because its nature is like not to focus on the duplicates.
Yeah.
Just to store the elements and how effective we can store and how effective we can read, and from that perspective, it's no. Okay. And these are the three classes to read this. Now we are coming from with respect to the uniqueness. Now
So
we have
in cursor we use only to read the elements, right?
only to read the elements.
Only to read.
Okay, to read all the elements.
To read all the elements, okay.
Especially
Elements in the list. Okay.
yes, in the list exactly. So In the previous case, like if you want to identify a group of objects and to store them, so we have used a different list. Now my requirement is I would like to store the objects, but this time I do not want to allow the duplicates. So list doesn't work out in that case, right? None of the list implementations, if you store any duplicate elements, it is going to accept. It will not say anything to you. But obviously, it's not going to fulfill your requirement, right? Your intention is not to go for a duplicate.
Okay.
So the list doesn't work out in that case. So you need to go for a set.
Okay.
So set has three implementations: HashSet, LinkedHashSet, and TreeSet. Okay. So along with the existing behavior, like whatever the list identification you did, and if you want to have the object to be unique, means though you should not allow you to access, add the new duplicate element, then you need to go for the any of the listed implementation from the set. Okay. First we'll focus on the hash set. So here the hash set is based on the implementation of the hashing. Okay. There will be like hash code algorithm which usually follow based on that it internally stores. Here there is no order of like arrays and all those things in the representation perspective. Okay, based on the value that you are saving, so it generates hash code for it. Based on that, it's going to store the elements with an internal representation. Main focus here is like it will not allow you to maintain the duplicates. What happens if I try to show? It's not going to give us any issue. It simply overwrites that then whatever the value you are keeping at the final state, that is going to be the value.
Okay.
Okay. Main intention is not to have the duplicates. If you try to give a duplicate, it just overwrites.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. That should be. First, I'm commenting that. So we just added a couple of elements. So adding, getting size, finding a size, and all those things are common methods. Whatever we have seen in the array list. So if you want to know the number of elements, simply you can say. Okay. If you want to know the particular element, particular element here we need to read from the all the elements that we'll see anyway. So here we will look at the total size. Total number of sizes. Now I'm going to add a duplicate element. Right, I have added a duplicate element. Now when I run this, so my size, what is my size here?
So actually this size is overriding.
Yes, because though you enter like any number of duplicates, because of the uniqueness that you are maintaining, because you are using HashSet, which is not going to allow you to duplicate. At, whenever you try to perform an add expression, it checks for this value. If this is already stored inside its representation, it simply ignores it.
You did some abstract use HashSet and abstract method.
HashSet?
just now you said something abstract. It won't allow duplication.
It would HashSet.
Okay, HashSet. Okay, I got confused. I thought that
HashSet. And right now we are looking at the HashSet implementation, right? It's not going to allow you to add any duplicate elements in the storage.
okay.
Observed, right? So here, let me print all the elements. So if you observe, is it maintained in array list? Yesterday, what we read, insertion order was preserved. That you remember? Let me go to array list example. We stored 100, 500, 300, 300, 800, 200, 100. That means whatever the order you save, we are able to see in the same order, right?
It won't change the order.
Yeah. Now if you look at HashSet demo, when I'm running an example, I saved something in different way. But insertion order, if you see, insertion order is not in your control because of the hash code nature. Like, so it means it doesn't maintain the insertion order. Whatever the value stored is simply
Got it.
sorry, it's simply
Understood.
right? Here there's no chance of insertion. Now, if you look at, suppose now your requirement is, I wanted to store a unique element, but I want on top of that, I would like to have the insertion order also to be maintained. Then you need to go for the LinkedHashSet, which is the next level. Okay. In previous case, you're only see the insertion, the uniqueness, but the insertion order is not maintained. But in this case, it's going to maintain the insertion order as well. So with the step, each and every new class that you are learning, so we are seeing some new features, right? So, LinkedHashSet demo. I'll copy the HashSet almost. Only thing here, I'll change the LinkedHashSet, nothing else. Rest everything is going to be the same. I'm running. Harita, Kiran, Sham, Amar. Right?
Yeah.
On the previous case, it was not, right?
Yeah, now it is the order which we gave, it is displayed the same way.
That is the main difference between HashSet and LinkedHashSet.
Okay.
The LinkedHashSet also internally follows a double linked list along with the Hashtable concept. That's where like it is able to maintain the ordering along with the uniqueness.
Okay.
Got it? That's all. Now,
It maintains only the uniqueness but not the order.
yes, uniqueness but not the order. But this one, whatever it does in the HashSet, it can do everything, but on top of that, it does the insertion order. So there is a difference. It maintains the order means it means like it might be sorting, right? That is different. Insertion order, whatever the user is inserting, that order maintains. But still the data is not sorted right here, right? Got it?
Yes, got it.
The next one, TreeSet. TreeSet, like these two are like maintains uniqueness and maintains the insertion order. So what happens like if I want to my data to be sorted automatically, irrespective of the insertion order, I want my data to be sorted.
Okay.
This one doesn't fulfill, right? Is your data sorting automatically in this one? No, right? It's just giving the sum order, which is not at all in your control. And this one, it is up to certain extent, but this is not sorting of your choice. It's It's not sorting out the key, this objects, right? It's sorting based on the
LinkedHashSet, it is also not sorting, just whatever.
sorting, just maintaining the order what you are inserting.
Yeah.
So actual sorting, so if you want to go for sorting, so you need to go for the TreeSet kind of implementation. Okay. Right? Nothing I did apart from that. A, B, C, D, F, G, right? So we are not writing any logic at all. Whatever the object you do, it itself has a lot of functionality. So just use that object for your purpose for storing and retrieval, whatever. Data gets sorted automatically. So developer do not need to write any logic to sort, right? Which you usually do in the arrays, right? We might need to write some couple of lines to repeat the loop and all those things here. If you use a tree set, simply it does the sorting automatically based on the value that you store. If you store numbers, it plays accordingly. And just copy duplicates. Okay, and run this. No matter like whatever it is, data is sorted.
Yeah.
So we just keep on adding elements to the object of reset. Whenever you add an element to it, it checks like where it has to maintain. So here, the object the tree set. So it maintains the data in the form of a tree representation internally. So accordingly, whenever a new element adds, it checks whether it has to add a kind of like left side or the right side to the tree. Means left branch or right branch. So like that, tree is grows till the end.
Okay.
What the difference between these, you know?
Yeah. The only thing is, TreeSet is maintaining the order, and
Yes.
by default it is giving ascending order. What the above two methods are not going to do.
This is not going to sort. This maintains the insertion order. This maintains the sorting order. This doesn't maintain any order.
Any order, yes, it is giving randomly. Okay, whatever it is.
All these three are comes under a set. So primary feature is like uniqueness. Means you cannot have the duplicates.
Yeah, set does not allow the duplication.
Exactly.
Cursors they do allow that.
Yes, list they do allow.
List, yeah.
Here,
Yes, yes.
till now we have seen like both like 6 implementations under list 3, under list 3, and under set 3. So out of that, like all are like just like storing an objects, right? What if your requirement is to store things in a key value kind of a way? Means I would like to store a key and a value. So none of these things are going to fulfill your requirement. Okay, then you need to go for a kind of implementational map where it's going to allow you to store key and value. Means two objects it allow you to store. Advantage here is suppose you have 100 employees. 100 employees if you store with a key as an employee number and the object as a complete employee data, So at any point of time, if you want to get a particular employee object, simply you can ask with a key, give me one-to-one employee. So it's going to give you the one-to-one employee complete object. You got it?
Okay.
So if you would like to have the key and value pair kind of a combination to represent, then you need to go for the map.
Okay, to get the specific employee or anything specific value, we are using the key to get the specific value.
Yes, key value kind of representation if you want to perform. So that's where like I need to go for the map kind of implementation. We have HashMap, LinkedHashMap, and TreeMap. It is going to store the values based on the keys. Okay.
When to store the value based on
The keys. So here it contains only unique elements because keys are unique here. So, and obviously it maintains no order. So in the same way it's equal to HashSet, the ordering perspective. It doesn't care about the order. HashMap. Okay. So here you cannot repeat the keys, but you can repeat the values. Right? So means when I say key, it's a placeholder, right? So like in my cupboard, I have 10 shelves. Means in 10 shelves, I can keep any value, but I cannot change those shelf blocks, right?
yeah.
If you have 10 keys, means with that you have to have that those 10 keys, but you can place anything with that in that shelf, right? In the same way, when you are playing with key and value pairs, so keys are unique and the values can be anything. Like means both are in the object format. Key is in the object format and the value in the object format. But the values can be anything because from the values perspective, there is no uniqueness maintained. From the keys perspective, unique has to be maintained because key is going to be only one.
Yeah.
So, but values person, let's say if you take a employee record perspective itself, like employee number 101 name can be anything. Employee number 102 name can be same name, right? It means multiple guys have the same name, but obviously multiple guys cannot have the same employee number, right? Therefore, if you want to represent that kind of a thing, so you need to go for a map related kind of implementation. HashMap. So just stored a couple of elements. So we have stored a couple of elements, right? Same way here, if you want to know the find of the length, snap down. Yes, total elements here, it's going to give you the elements which are in it. Clear why it's giving size 4?
I think it is considered as a 0. From 0 it is
No, it's 500, 500.
Oh, no duplication. We are not having any duplications also even.
Here,
Okay.
5, right?
Oh,
So
yeah. Values are duped. Oh, yeah.
keys. The first part is key and the second value is value.
Yeah, the keys are going to, yes.
Okay, let me change it to something, then you can see the count, whatever. So here, you are saying that index, right? Index comes into picture only when you are retrieving and while doing something.
Okay.
Kani, so, sorry, I just got message and switch. Yeah. Here keys are unique, right?
Okay.
I just change the value here. That means that now you are able to see the here. Earlier you are referring to index, right? Index are like only with respect to when you are retrieving. So then that pair comes from 0 to 4 when there are 5 elements. But when you ask for a size, it should give the total number of elements, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Earlier it was 500 and they are in the count of like 0 to 4, right?
Yes.
So there we are referring when you ask for size, no matter like whatever is the index, it should give the count. Whether it is 0 to 4 or 1 to 4 is that is different story altogether. Maybe so now I just change it for time being like 500, 500. So we have 5 elements now, right? Now as the same way, HashMap dot get give me the value for 500. That's going to give 5. Okay. Give me the value for 501. Whatever the values correspondingly. So now I'm going to change 500 value. So now when I run this one, what is the value I'm going to get? What is the value I'm going to get here at this statement?
Hello. Oh, no. Now you change the 500, right? So what you are going to get is the size and value. What is going to get? Does it say override? Don't know. Need to run. Execute.
And this one?
Find out one. You don't have any value. The key value is find out one, right?
Parent one is not there.
Yeah. The one thing I think you don't have any value.
In general, by this time should have told. This one become 500 become Silurate latest value.
Okay.
Value. So same key when you're trying to store once again, it's going to override the value.
Yeah. So it is overriding psi and it is giving value.
Yes.
But
And the finite one, it's not there. If you're asking for something which is not available,
okay.
you get null.
Okay.
Right?
Oh yeah.
If you print what it's going to print HashMap. I'm just commenting this part. So you can have some commenting. So what is the value which you are going to print in generally? HashMap means?
I think all the values.
All the keys and values here.
Yeah, keys and values.
See that?
Oh yeah.
Right? So and observe here there is a curly bracket. When you are working with a list, it was a square bracket. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember the value.
Right? It was in the square brackets, but when you are working with this one, it is in the form of like curly brackets because it's a key value page, right? It's a kind of this is one set and this is one set and this one record, right? Okay. Observed part is like it is not maintained, it's just not done.
Oh yeah, not maintained all that.
So if you want to go for it, then you need to go for the LinkedHashMap. Same way, whatever you faced here, same thing now you're going to see here. Okay. Just for confirmation purpose, I'll do an example on the LinkedHashMap as well. I'll just copy it again. LinkedHashMap. So difference between these two is this means maintains the insertion order.
Now it would maintain the order which we are doing.
Not in the order. It should be in the insertion order, not in the sorted.
Okay, okay.
We are just looking at this one, right? Still we haven't gone to the next one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. HashMap, it just gives the order which whatever which we give.
Yes, whatever you save in the same way you expect the order.
Yeah.
So Haritha, Haritha, and Jagan, right?
Yeah,
It was different. Next one. So additional requirement is I want the data to be sorted. Then you need to go for the TreeMap. Same thing. So earlier 100, 200, 500, 400, right? Running with 100, 200, 400, 500. So this sorted based on the keys. Got it? All the data is going to be sorted here.
Yeah.
So for any of these things, like so, as I told you, you can use iterator, and the list iterators can be used to read all the elements. So now it's clear, and any confusion?
No confusion.
No confusion, right? Similar to your HashMap, HashMap is based on the implementation of Hashtable, right? We do have like Hashtable. It's almost similar to HashMap. The only thing is the difference is like hash. So here you have seen that vector, right? Vector and array list.
Yeah.
Vector is synchronized, array list is not synchronized, right?
Yeah.
Same way, Hashtable is synchronized and HashMap is synchronized. The rest everything you can expect whatever you see in the HashMap. Okay, but I'll do as an example. Most of the persons used to confuse that T is small here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so like hash table, when we read, we might think that it's a two-lettered word, and T mostly thinks that capital. But hash table is a single word, not two words. Okay,
Okay.
so it's a small letter. It's equal to your regular HashMap whatever we say. Only thing is hash table is synchronized, HashMap is not synchronized. The rest everything is going to be the same. Okay. So vector and array list will counter, right? In the same way, HashMap and hash table are the corresponding things. Clear?
Hashtable?
So HashMap and hash table are equal with respect to the hash table is synchronized and HashMap is not synchronized. The rest everything is going to be the same.
Okay.
Just yeah, but these are key value pairs. If you observe, vector and array list are same in the same way. Vector is synchronized and array list is not synchronized, but these are not key value pairs.
Okay.
It's all depends on like now. You should know like what when if I want to go for uniqueness, I need to go for in this one. Along with that uniqueness, I want to also data to be sorted. Inside that, you need to go for this. Right? So if I do not want to go for, I would like to go for key value pairs. You have to go for this option. So key value pairs, you can go for all these four. So I want the data to be sorted. I want data to be arranged based on the scissors order. So I have to go for this. Or the data to be sorted automatically. I have to go for this. Right? It all depends on the need. Right? If you know everything, so then you can use the right thing when it comes to the users.
Okay.
Clear or any confusion?
No, clear.
HashTable and LinkedHashMap and TreeMap. TreeMap is covered, and HashTable is the legacy one, similar to your vector. It's the older one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So we'll read the data from one of the asset. Okay. Sorry. Map. Where is HashMap? HashMap. Let's still we haven't read all the elements, right? This is having a couple of elements, right? We'll just apply. Earlier we have used these cursors to read the list, right?
You used to read the elements on list only. The cursors we use only
Yeah,
for that.
we did example for the list in these two with this one, right? Array list, right?
And
So,
I'm using vector.
but none of them we tried with the key value pairs, right? Now I'll just try with the key value pairs and the set. So where is set? To display all the elements from here. How first set, how it's behaving. Displaying all the values. Want to have a control on this one? Set dot. Iterator. Once you got iterator.
So in this HashSet, we are going to read the
I'm trying to show you the iterator. We have used iterator and list iterators on the list and array list. And on the list we have tried, right? I told you these things we can also use for other collections. These are to read all the elements, right?
Oh.
So these cursors are to read all the elements from the collections.
But cursors are there to read all the elements, right?
All the elements. So we have seen example with the list, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to show you one with the set and one with map.
Yeah, got it.
Got it? So I just opened the same HashSet program to do the logic.
Oh, that's what I'm asking. That we are going to read the elements in the HashMap with the help of Iterator, right?
Yes, HashSet I'm doing with help of Iterator.
Okay, HashSet. Okay.
HashMap also I'm going to do, both I'm going to show.
Okay.
HashSet is like it's unique elements, right? It's 5 elements. So no matter whatever it is, I would like to read all. So I'm just writing the same logic. Logic is simple, the same thing. Same iterator code if you look at it. Only thing you are going to call iterator method on the particular object, whatever it is, has set object, that's all. Right? I'm able to read all the elements.
Okay.
If it is HashMap, it is a little different. Here in the form of key value pairs, right? So key value pair means first what? HashMap dot get key set first. You have to get the keys. Give you all the keys. Okay. Want to know what are the keys here?
So we're giving all the keys.
All the keys.
We're getting all the values in the keys, right?
I'm getting all the keys. Square brackets.
Yes.
The reason is keys you are going to get in the form of set, right? The list and set you are going to get in the square bracket because only one value, right? When it comes to map, those are key value pair. Then that's where the curly bracket comes.
And the curly bracket, yeah.
Okay. If I print hash map, how we are getting the brackets? From hash map, I got only keys. Then it was square brackets. When I get only keys, now simply what I have to do, I have to call iterator on. I would like to iterate on the keys.
Okay.
Then no need to type, just copy paste it.
So if you want to know the key values, so you said TreeSet.
Yes, ask for keys.
TreeSet, okay.
I'm just looking a variable to print somewhere. Oh, keys, right?
But here you can print all the elements in the list without this loop also. I mean this while loop also, right?
That's where printing here, right? See here, we're printing.
No, just what my question is. So without the help of the loop, I mean this iterator also, you can print all the elements in the array. So what is the use of using that?
To have a control. I do not want to read all the ones. Let's say I wanted to print, assume this is a record. Right? I wanted to print only 100 and 400.
Okay.
But I do not know the keys. So you have to navigate through complete loop, right? Means when you need a chance to inspect each and everything, then you need to get all the elements, right?
Not specifically to the keys. In general, I'm asking. So we can print the elements in the array without the help of this iteration or anything.
This is one thing. This kind of printing is just only for your understanding, developer understanding. But in reality, in the program, we are not going to print like this in the console, and we are not going to print all the objects like this. We pass some key and we expect some value in the UI and all this, right?
Okay.
This is just for a developer understanding like how the values are storing internally.
Okay.
Okay, but in reality, we're not going to print like this. We get some values like this, and we'll pass these things to front end, right? In the front end, if you print something like this, is the end user is going to understand, no, right? It's for developer.
Okay.
Okay, if you understand properly, then you can present the data in a better way, whatever they request.
Okay.
Now you are clear?
I'm clear.
Okay.
So by giving the keys also, we can. So somebody asks that giving the key values, so they will ask, we want the value for the key.
Yes.
So okay.
So I'm now printing key and value as well. For 400, Jagan is the value. Right? So for another key, give me the value for the what is the person name. So the 400 is the employee number. So what is the employee name? So put the name. Got it?
So we are printing 600 out of printer key. Key means this key, and the key get key means the value.
Yes. Means get, not get key. Get of the variable name, the key.
Oh, okay.
Here the variable name is key as given. Right? Key you have to pass to get. So what is the value? HashMap has method called get method, which is going to give you the value if you pass a key. If you pass this one, it's going to give you this one. Pass this one, it's going to give you this one. So get method.
I'm a little bit confused. I'm taking the key. It is 400, 100, 500, 200. All I'm thinking all these are keys, right?
Yes.
But how we get the values here, Chetan, Harita, Sai?
This one. So first, where we have in HashMap, we have both keys and values, right?
Yes, I don't understand that.
So in your iterator, what you are having only keys, right?
Only keys, yes. Keys dot iterator, yes.
Because now you are having only keys with you, and you do not have value.
Yeah, we don't have any value.
We do not have value in your iterator. The values are available in HashMap, right?
Okay.
So in
Got it.
HashMap, if you pass 100, you can get the value here, right?
Okay.
That's what we have seen here, if you observe. HashMap get 501. So instead of 501, I'm just passing a variable key. That's where I have stored in a separate variable here. Understood, right?
Oh yeah, that's why we gave it HashMap dot get key.
So I'm printing both. Okay, this is only for the developer understanding. For us, in reality, we're not going to print like this. We're not going to show something. So we store something like the key, and we ask something for the value and the letter. Here. Any doubts on the topic, whatever we discussed? Okay, Harita, I think we are good for today, and we'll continue tomorrow with the next topic. Okay, thank you. Bye. Good night.